A big moment at the Health Services Authority this morning as Cayman becomes one of the first countries to roll out a COVID-19 vaccination program. Radio Cayman's Carsley Fuller was at the HSA this morning for a special vaccination event.
An historic moment this morning as the first COVID-19 vaccines are given to Cayman's leaders, starting the official rollout of Stage 1 of the country's vaccination program. His Excellency the Governor Martin Roper, the Premier, the Honorable Alden McLaughlin, and Health Minister the Honorable Dwayne Seymour were among the first to get their jabs.
It was fun, very straightforward. I didn't feel a thing, I feel absolutely fine afterwards. So thank you to everybody here for so efficiently organising that.
No, it's very straightforward routine, just like any other vaccine. So I encourage everyone to take it. The faster we get this country immunized, the quicker we go back to normalcy, and Caymanians can go to Miami.
Feel great. It wasn't even a mosquito bite. We have to lead from the front, and I'm glad that we're able to take this first to show the nation that it's safe and it's what we need to return to some normalcy.
Healthcare workers will be covered in this first wave of voluntary Pfizer-BioNTech vaccines, which arrived on island earlier this week. Dr. Yaron Rado, chief radiologist at Chrissy Tomlinson, was very excited to be one of the first people in Cayman to be vaccinated.
Very few places in the first world that is proven to be COVID-free. We're one of the few ones who actually were successful with the lockdown. We were first in the world with testing for a while, the way how we could test people. Now with the 10,000 doses here, we are theoretically in a position to overtake all other countries in the penetration of vaccination on the island. And for me, I'm very proud to be part of this and be one of the first.
Reporting for Radio Cayman from the Health Services Authority, I'm Carsley Fuller.
Once again, I assure the public that the vaccine is safe. We did this because it is our duty to do so. We're also leading from the front to encourage everyone living here to take the vaccine.
Government officials followed up the morning vaccination photo opportunity with a live briefing in the afternoon. Radio Cayman's April Cummings has more.
Premier the Honorable Alden McLaughlin says vaccines are the way out of the COVID-19 pandemic, not just for Cayman, but for the world.
If we all do our duty and play our part by being vaccinated, we should be in a position by the end of March to have immunized enough of our residents for Cayman to resume an even greater sense of normalcy, to be able to travel much more freely, and to allow people into our country without too much trepidation.
The Premier says the year it's taken for a vaccine to come to the islands to him has felt more like 10, and he and other leaders today took that vaccine in order to show the community there is nothing to be worried about.
I am grateful to the Governor and his staff as well as the United Kingdom government for working with our government to arrange for the free doses of the vaccine. The relationship which we have with the United Kingdom government is paying massive dividends.
The Premier also announced that effective January 14th, all incoming travelers must provide evidence of a PCR test no more than 72 hours prior to their departure in order to board their flight to Cayman. He says the decision comes in response to news of new, more contagious strains of COVID-19. April Cummings, Radio Cayman News.
His Excellency Governor Martin Roper says it's excellent news for the country to begin rolling out its COVID-19 vaccination program this week, marking the first UK overseas territories to receive the supplies.
I was pleased to be invited to take it today. Very straightforward, and I feel absolutely fine.
Despite the highly challenging COVID-19 situation in the UK, Governor Roper says the UK is fully committed to supplying vaccines to the overseas territories.
Cayman, Bermuda, Turks and Caicos and Gibraltar are receiving the Pfizer-BioNTech vaccine because these overseas territories have the necessary very low temperature cold storage facilities.
Governor Roper says other overseas territories are likely to get the AstraZeneca Oxford vaccine, as that's much easier logistically, adding we may also get that one as part of future supplies.
I expect the next batch to arrive on one of the next BA flights, but that isn't confirmed at the moment, and I just want to emphasise that take-up of this vaccine in Cayman and the overseas territories is really important because these vaccine supplies are very precious and still in short supply. So we want to see a strong take-up of the vaccine in our islands.
The vaccines are being provided at no cost to the overseas territories. Governor Roper says this batch cost over 2,000 UK pounds, excluding freight costs. He says it's a strong signal of support from the UK to the overseas territories, the value of a very constructive UK-Cayman partnership. As to the details of the vaccine program, the overall goal is not just to vaccinate as many people as possible, but as many of our high-risk people as possible. Chief Medical Officer Dr. John Lee says there are 3 stages to the plan and 3 subgroups in the first stage.
Stage 1 has actually been drawn up into 3 groups. Group A is for residents and staff of institutional facilities, individuals aged 70 and over, healthcare workers and first responders, and all frontline staff dealing with incoming travellers. Group B is for adults 60 and over or with the relevant health status, and Group C is for workers essential to government continuity.
Dr. Lee says depending on take-up of the vaccine, the first batch of over 9,000 vaccines isn't enough for everyone in stage 1, so the elderly take priority.
We know that age is a very strong predictor of poor outcome from COVID, which is why that recommendation for age priority has been given around the world.
Stage 2 is for anyone aged 16 to 60 with relevant medical status, those living at home with someone from stage 1 of the program, and essential workers, teacher and school staff.
In stage 3, we then move to opening it up to anybody who is eligible. That's for the Pfizer vaccine would be people aged 16 and above who've not already received the vaccine. And it would begin with people aged 50 and above because of that age priority.
A brochure with the full vaccination plan is available at www.gov.ky/coronavirus, along with frequently asked questions. Now to today's COVID-19 test results. We have 199 results. There are 3 positives, all incoming travelers. That brings the total number of COVID-19 positives in the Cayman Islands to 359, with 310 people recovered. There are 47 active cases, 11 symptomatic and 34 asymptomatic. 167 are in isolation in government facilities. 934 are under the home quarantine program. The vaccination program is running right now and starting tomorrow at the site of the Health Services Authority Flu Clinic. Medical Officer of Health, Dr. Samuel Williams Rodriguez, says people in stage 1, that's people over 70 and healthcare providers from public and private sector, will be tested according to an alphabetical system.
We are asking for tomorrow for the public because I know initially we might get, we don't want to get overcrowded. For individuals from the letters A to D, to go from 10:30 to 11:30, E to G from 11:30 to 12:30, H to M from 1:30 to 2:30, and N to Z from 2:30 to 4.
Testing will start at district clinics next week and in Cayman Brac as early as this weekend, with Little Cayman a few days later. A full schedule has been published online at hsa.ky. In other local news, Her Majesty's Cayman Islands Prison Service has confirmed that applications for pre-discharge leave under the terms of Section 32 of Prisons Law were received on behalf of Skylar Mack and Vanjay Ramjeet, the couple sentenced to prison for violating quarantine rules. A statement from the Office of the Governor says the applications were considered by the Office of the Director of Prisons and approved subject to compliance with specific license conditions. Both will be released from prison on January 15th, and Ms. Mack will depart Cayman that same day. At that time, both will have completed their sentence in accordance with Cayman law. The statement says neither have received any special dispensation. A juvenile male is in stable condition at the Cayman Islands Hospital after experiencing difficulties while in the water in West Bay. Police say at about 6 p.m. yesterday, officers along with emergency crew got a report of a person in distress on the beach near the intersection of Mary Molly Hydes Road and West Bay Road, West Bay. The juvenile had begun experiencing difficulties while in the water and fell unconscious. He was taken from the water by members of the public nearby, who conducted CPR until the arrival of emergency medical services. He was then transported by ambulance to the Cayman Islands Hospital, where he regained consciousness and remains in stable condition. The matter is currently under investigation. And finally in the news, the Elections Office is set to meet people where they are this month as they work to register eligible voters for the May election. Supervisor of Elections Wesley Howell tells Radio Cayman individuals can contact their registering officer, visit www.elections.ky, call 949-8047, or head to the Elections Office at Baytown Office Suites to register. There's also a series of drives being held at local grocery stores all month long, the details of which you can find under community events on the Radio Cayman website.
To facilitate a smooth and easy process and to avoid additional follow-up contact, we asked members of the public seeking to register to bring all required identification documents with them. The list of these documents can be found on our website.
You can find a complete list of the documentation requirements at elections.ky. The deadline to register to vote in the May 2021 general election is January 20th. That is your latest local news from Radio Cayman's newsroom. I'm Shanda Gallego.